Hey guys, this is Carrie, and in this video we're going to be talking about spacing in HTML and CSS. And this is actually a really important topic that I think has a potential point of confusion, but I think we'll understand it pretty good after this. So we're going to be talking about two properties in particular, which are the margin and padding of elements. So let's get started. I'm going to create a paragraph, fill it with some random text, and I'm going to start to style that paragraph using the style tags in the header. So selecting the paragraph, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to give it a nice background of, I don't know, let's do pink instead because that'll be an easier one to read. And then a width of, let's say, 200 pixels. So save it and refresh it. So we've got this paragraph here, and there's something called the box model of HTML, which is you basically, when you're creating an element, like this paragraph element, you're creating a box, and all the inner HTML is the stuff inside of that box. Now, naturally, you can see that it goes from the edge of the box, exactly at the edge, pretty much to the other edge, pretty much to the top edge, pretty much to the bottom edge. And this doesn't look that appealing to us. Usually, we like to have a little bit of space on the sides of our elements. So the first kind of space that we're going to be adding is space between the edge here and or space inside of the box, between the edge and then the words. So for example, we call that padding left 30 pixels. So let's give that a save and a refresh. So padding is space inside of the element. It actually gives it 30 pixels of extra room inside, away from the border. And just like there's padding left, there's a padding top. So we could do something like 40 pixels for that. And as you might guess, a padding right. And a padding bottom. And these actually create a bunch of space in between the image, or not the image, in between the edge of the box and the text that appears inside. So a shortcut that you might use for this, because it's weird to have all these different padding measurements, is maybe you would just do padding 30 pixels, and that's going to create 30 pixels of space on every edge. And that has a nice symmetric look that I think really appeals to us. So if padding is the space inside of the box, then what do we call the space outside of the box? And what does that even mean? Well, for example, we call that margin. So if we want to add a margin on the left, that's going to add some space in between the box and the nearest element. In this case, that's going to be the edge of the browser. So if we want to add a margin left here of 100 pixels, that's going to create 100 pixels of space, where before we had very few. And you can see that we get that extra space outside of the box. Margin top is going to create some extra space on top of the box. So maybe 50 pixels of space up there. And that's how margin works. So by controlling the space inside of the box and the space outside of the box, you have a really nice way to move elements around, to resize them, to make them look better, to give you some space. And we use margin and padding in pretty much every project that you work on in web design. One last example that you might find interesting is, let's delete all of this. Actually, let's leave that. And I'm going to copy and paste this paragraph, and I'm going to add a second paragraph right below, and the third paragraph. So you can see that these paragraphs actually have some natural margin in between them. But you might want to increase the space in between these paragraphs. So the way that I might do that is I might say, I want the margin in between these, which would be the margin on the bottom of this paragraph, to grow to, I don't know, say 50 pixels. Give it a save and a refresh, and now you've got a lot more space on the bottom of each of the paragraphs. All right, I hope you guys found this helpful, and I'll see you guys in class whenever I next see you. Bye.